Welcome to The Fault. We have two brothers breaking down their business mistakes. Hi everyone, I am Jared, and today on The Fault, I will be talking about how I get myself into a situation where I feel angry and rejected and depressed and unsuccessful and a whole lot more.
And I'm Jay, and I'll be talking about why I should have had the goal of hiring somebody, maybe for reasons you wouldn't expect.
See you there. That nice restaurants that are here. Hold on, I just forgot what my mistake is. Over to you. You're going to do yours first.
Am I really?
What I'm talking about today. Yes, really.
A salesman, I just want to be in the back.
Because I know it's just like, okay, well, everyone hates me, and I will die alone. That's where it's from. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Fault. I am Jared. I'm the CEO of Worldwide English Services, where we customize and deliver online English training courses for businesses and government clients. And I'm here with my brother, Jay. Jay, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Jay, as always. As every week, I run Bradfield Express Cabinets. I sell cabinets in northern Philadelphia. Hello, brother.
And you do it very well. Hello.
I do.
How are you?
I'm not as good at selling. I'd like to be better at selling. It's definitely a weak point. But speaking of sales, had a bunch of, well, I told you this, I didn't really expound on it, but I have a bunch of nibbles this week. And so I feel better because I have some I'm getting back into the groove of things after a slow December and a slow, year's end. I'm getting back into it, so I feel better and more involved, more whatever. So it's nice. We'll see. One thing though,
Good.
I'm learning. This might have been a prior mistake that we talked about. This is something I feel is when I sometimes base my decisions or how I'm feeling based on what people are saying. Not in the sense of more in the sense of that I expect people to do what they say they're going to do. And if somebody says, oh, yeah, I'm really interested in cabinets, I think, well, they're going to buy cabinets. So let's treat it like that. And as we know, that's just not the way it is. And I've been noticing, we also kind of talked about this in one of the other episodes, but I've been noticing my own purchasing consumer behavior. And every once in a while, I don't buy something, and I think, oh, that's what this is. I was showing that I was going to do one thing, and I really didn't do it. And so it's kind of interesting. So I'm measuring. I think I have a good relationship to this interest that's being shown. There's a bunch of two medium ones, or one big one, one medium one, and a bunch of small few cabinet orders and things like that. Mostly people I know or contractors that need things for their personal their personal stuff. So anyway, I forget what your question was, but yes, how are you doing?
My question was, how are you?
That's
so
good. I'm
me
good.
Then.
Yes, you.
Good. I am doing pretty well. Had a weird week. I rented a car and drove around to a bunch of different hotels and other companies, banks. It's called CAF here, the King Abdulaziz Financial District. And the government sort of sponsors it to have a lot of really big companies headquartered there. And so took a friend, drove over there, and spent the day kind of going around, basically knocking on doors to try to meet people. And it was almost completely unsuccessful. But it was okay.
Real quick, sorry, let me interrupt. What was the name of it one more time?
CAFD. KAFD, King Abdulaziz Financial District.
Okay, in Riyadh. Okay,
Riyadh.
Got it. Almost entirely unsuccessful. I'm just curious. I want to look it up while you're talking.
Yes, almost entirely unsuccessful. So that was most of the week. Actually, I'm a little bit behind on other things, but it was a good experience. This is something I'd been meaning to do for a while and kind of beating myself up over not having done. And so I was glad I did it. Wish it had been more successful. Weren't a lot of lessons to take away. I was just like, okay, that didn't work. So that was most of the week. But it's okay. Today I had some extra work to do to catch up, which we're recording on a Saturday. And that's the day I try to have as clear as possible. And it was completely unsuccessful. Also, again with that today. But I'm pretty much caught up. So that's good. But
Gotcha.
things are okay. Things are okay.
The photos are crazy of CAF, by the way. That's really, it looks, I mean, they sensationalize it a little bit, and so at night with the drones, all the lights and stuff. But it looks like a pretty cool place. Looks very dense. Looks like there's a lot of businesses there. Good for you for going out and doing something difficult. And yeah,
here's the thing about that place: it's mostly empty. I did not realize that. Yes.
Sorry.
We also have. It's okay.
Somebody left the stove on.
Yep. Sounds like it.
They're okay.
Yes. So most of the buildings are empty, and I didn't realize that. Like, there are a couple skyscrapers with the names of major banks here at the top, and so I thought, well, I need to go talk with them because their banks like a ton of money. The buildings are all empty. It's only security there. So I'm not sure what it is. It could be my friend's hypothesis is that the government is paying companies to locate there, but they haven't actually done the move yet. So they just have they stuck their name basically as to ingratiate themselves with the government, and they put the name on the building, and then they'll actually move in later.
That's crazy.
But it seems like, there are a few companies and some big companies that work there. One is, it's called PIF, the Public Investment Fund, which is one of the largest government funds in the world, government wealth funds. And it funds pretty much everything in Saudi. So that's here. So that's a really big one. And then there are a couple other smaller companies. But it seems like mostly it's restaurants, actually, that were built for people to come for lunch, for people working there. But it seems like it's also a hub. They just opened the metro system at the beginning of last month, I think, in December. And the first few lines, and they opened another line or two in January when we're recording this. And so the CAFT station is a hub. And so it seems like people are taking the train. A lot of them are taking the train because this is a new, exciting thing. There isn't a lot to do in Riyadh. So when something like this happens, everyone wants to do it. And they're taking the train and going to have lunch at that nice restaurants that are here. And then walking around, there's tons of construction going on. There's like a monorail overhead that so far is just the rail. Actually, it's like the whatever you call the support for it. I don't think the rail is on top. It's just like the concrete, the single concrete track that goes around.
Yes.
Yeah. But it looks good.
That is weird. That's what I guess when you have just so much money and things happen artificially, like in a a different society, that wouldn't be possible. So that's
exactly.
Quite unique.
That's what happens in a top-down society. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure. So that was interesting, but that was my week.
Gotcha. Very nice.
So, all right. How about we just churn through things today? Actually, before we churn through things, I caught myself feeling as we were talking. Yeah, I just derailed myself. I caught myself thinking that we're such pros at podcasts that I was just kind of talking with you. I was just sort of relaxed, and I thought to myself, like, I got to tighten things up. I got to get podcast mode a little bit. We got to go. That was a weird feeling.
No, I usually feel if you start to get, I try to be more conscious when other people are talking, if I'm honest, but I still constantly check myself when we're talking to make sure that it's somewhat interesting and beneficial or something that's not completely wasted air and space. But I think that's interesting to hear about the place where you are and all that. So I didn't even get no red flags were going in my system while you're talking. It's interesting. It's a unique
all systems
place
are go.
Yeah, it's a unique place and it's different. So it's cool to hear that stuff. So we are just talking
for sure. Cool.
Anyway,
all right,
why don't you?
Back on
track. Do you want to start today?
Sure, I can. I'm in charge here, but it seems like I'm being undermined, undercut, undermined, everything under. But sure, that's fine. We'll just do it the way you want to do it. That's fine.
Yeah, I like you. You're observant. That's what I like about you. Go ahead.
So, okay, my problem today, my mistake. Hold on, I just forgot what my mistake is. Over to you. You're going to do yours first, and then
Am I really?
Remember what I'm talking about today. Yes, really.
Wow, really threw him off. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. Now
Yeah,
he's going to be thinking about that instead of listening to me. Here's mine, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to
absolutely.
talk to you in the camera because my brother is just completely discombobulated today. Here's mine. I would think about this. I always start with that. I should have had the goal of hiring somebody sooner. I should have, in business, there's milestones that we get to. You open up the LLC, you get the place, you get the sign, you get the website, you get the clients, you get all whatever, you get a certain level of monthly income. There's certain things, and at a certain point, there's hiring somebody if that's the way that the business works. But usually, if things are going to grow, that's the way it goes. And I never, because it's hard for me to, this is a separate issue, because it's hard for me to even imagine all the things that would go into that legally, business-wise, tax-wise. I just don't know what that's like at all. I don't know what all that entails. And so it seemed in my mind it's just so far away because it's so foreign and unknown. And I kind of put that out of my mind. And so, not out of my mind, but it just is very far away. And so I should have had that as a goal for two reasons. One is I wrote some things down, a milestone, whatever. One is it's a sign of growth as well. And so it's a goal, another plateau, another whatever, because it just basically the business obviously needs to be able to sustain another person. And so it needs to reach a certain level to be able to do that. And I'm still not at that place yet, but it would be better to have that. I think it would be closer if I had that goal. That's part of what I'm saying this for. The second, so as a way to push forward the whole business, because that is eventually where this has to go, I wanted the goal for that reason. The other one is kind of like subconscious a little bit, so like multifaceted. So there were a couple of contractors that were working here in my building this past week, and I was noticing my mood because there were people around there, whatever. I was noticing just my mood was different. Now I'm going to talk to you again, Cherry, because I think you're engaged. Hello. I was noticing my mood was just different, and I was like more. I don't know. It's grounding to me to have somebody else around, and so having that be a force, a way to help balance me a little bit would be nice. And then another reason as well, it's not the business would exist far too much. The business right now exists in my head, and I've thought about this before, but in as much as I push for it, the business exists, and as much as I don't push for it, the business does not exist. And I think having that would lend, having another person, having an employee, have somebody else would lend inertia, would lend more. It's just psychologically, it's just bigger. And there's just like the practical, I have to be able to pay them. This is not like, okay, it's like myself, I can pay less if it's a slow month, December. But if it's, if I'm an employee, I have to pay them. I have to do everything. And so there's it's whatever. And actually, you know what? I got a piece of paper right here. So if here's, we're going to do some show and tell. And actually, you're frozen right now. Okay. So let's say this, hold on. Let's say this is, where's my video? Let's say this is me. Okay. So I'm up and down and whatever. This is me. This is my mood, how I'm feeling. Okay. And then we have and then the business somewhat follows this. If I'm not working on it, it's not moving us. So the business kind of, it can move a little bit differently because I have the sign now and I have different whatever, but it's about that. However, if I have a person on, then I have the same variation, but there's it's more of a slower whatever. It's more of they can bridge without inertia. It can bridge a little bit, and so it's a little more constant because there's somebody else there. Or things have to get to a certain level. Things have to progress. It just doesn't rely as much on me and then you have a ton of people working for you. If you have a big corporation, it's pretty much like this. It has very little bearing as far as with the whatever. And so I just made that up now, so I don't know if it's actually true, but it seems true to me. And so if there's a lot, if the ship if it's a big ship, if it's a cruise ship, the waves aren't going to make a difference. And even internal waves, my waves. But if I'm on a one-man rowboat, I'm just, everything depends on me. If I'm not paddling, then it's not moving. And so I think for those two reasons, I should have I should have had that as a goal, and I'm gonna add that as a goal. I think I'd like to get to that point and use that as I don't even know how to think about it. For one, I need to educate myself about all those unknowns so it doesn't seem so far away. And then I need to figure out, once I have a better understanding of that, and then how much it would cost to hire somebody, then have a monetary goal or whatever, something where I'm like, if I get to this point, then I can hire somebody. So that's mine for today.
Cool. First of all, I like the illustration quite a bit. That makes sense to me. And I had two thoughts about that. To go backwards to forwards, right at the end, you were saying educate yourself, and you're not sure how to do that. This is something my accountant told me. He said one of the first things businesses usually outsource is payroll, because it's pretty straightforward and it's very easy to get someone to do that. So I have a service, they do it for me. They pay me, it's weird, but to follow the law, that's you have to do all those things.
Yes.
But so I have one employee that they handle, and that's me. But they do it all, and it's pretty cheap. It's like, I forget, a couple $100 a year or something. Like it's very very cheap to do that. That's cool. They're terrible, but once you get into the swing of things, that's okay. Yeah. The other thing I was thinking about, while it's my first thought when you were talking about this was like was negative. It was like, come on. Focus on getting the business going. Having 3 employees or 1 employee is not an end in itself. It's about whether the business is successful. So why would you set that as a goal? But as I was listening to you talk, one thing is I appreciate it was interesting. We've talked in the past about how we can work anytime and we cannot work anytime. And that creates a different set of incentives and challenges. From somebody who is their job, they're paid to come from 9 to 5 every day. And it could be really interesting to mix those two incentives, even in like a 2-person role. So I have that, I guess, with my assistant. So I have the right, if I say to myself, like, I didn't do that, okay, I'll do it at 7 tonight, I'll do it at 10 tonight, whatever. If she doesn't do it, I'm exaggerating. I don't actually yell at her, but I have the right to yell at her and like, come on, like, this is what I'm paying you to do. So it's a very simple way of thinking of things. And I could see how it could be really helpful to have a mix of those 2 sets of incentives in a small business, so that you have you decide for yourself which things are better taken care of this should be a simple trade of labor for money, and this over here is more whatever. It's more creative, it's more long-term, it's more investment into the business, and that's better handled whenever I get to it, whether it's 10 p.m. or 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. So I can see that, actually. I still think I'm like 60-40. My first reaction is 60, and that's 40, but whenever it makes sense for the business, I can see why it would make sense to prioritize that pretty soon rather than keeping everything under your roof as long as possible.
What if I change it though? What if I say my goal is, if I just came on here and was like, my goal is to get to $15,000 of profit a month, or $10,000 of profit a month. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, in my mind, it's very similar. It's actually more substantial to say. Okay. It's more substantial to say have an employee, because it's more pressure, it's more whatever, and the potential upside is higher because that's the way employees work. They create more than they cost. We create more than cost when we're employees, or even contractors. Anything, any work, the people that hire us make more. So it's more about that. It's not. It's more about. Well, that's the one side at least, and so it is a motivating factor, because it's not. Yeah, because like you said, I actually didn't think about that. You're talking about the division of responsibility based on what sort of responsibility. If it is a less definable, not as confined by time or schedule activity, whereas then other things are delivery schedules, picking up schedules, and finishing orders and building cabinets and things like that. Those things are more standard. I didn't even get that far thinking of.
Yeah, I think this is what people talk about. I've had people telling me this for years. I just haven't been able to until very recently have been able to do it. They've said that you need to, what did they say? You need to take a strategic role, not a tactical role, or something like that. And the execution of the business. Okay, put it this way: you have a kitchen, you have 10 cabinets you need to build, and you need to deliver them. So you could tell me right now about how long that's going to take. It's pretty straightforward. Sure, there's give and take. Something might be damaged, but more on average, you know already about how long that's going to take. And you know about how much you're going to make off of those cabinets because you have your price per cabinet. And so based on that delta, you can hire somebody, and that's a really straightforward time and materials for money. Just you do that trade, and you do that trade a lot of times. Figuring out what your next marketing move should be is not something that you can say, all right, I need 30 minutes this afternoon, and I'm going to sit down and do that.
And I can guarantee that I'll come up with a solution. Yeah,
right, exactly. So that first task seems really good for what you're talking about, that exchange of like this person just clocks in and puts his head down, turns on his headphones, and churns through what he needs to do, and then he finishes and he goes home to his family or her family. We are very, very open-minded on this podcast. We need more women in cabinet making. That's what we say. So,
continue.
Very woke. And so, but then, on the other side, like that marketing thing, that might be on your mind for like 2 days. You're kind of waddling through that, talking to people, researching, watching videos, practicing before it ever comes in. And that's a really good one for at this stage. Like eventually that, like everything is done by people who are paid a certain amount of money or salaried, but that's a good one for you and me at our stage, I think. So
I'm actually, this is getting, we got to wrap this up as I want to get to yours, but I'm just curious as I'm thinking about it. Why do you say that though? Why is it better that I do that? Why wouldn't they do that necessarily? Why is that the assumption that I should do strategic things, or the owner, I should say, should do strategic things? What if I really like the measurable whatever things, and I want to say, I want to take the morning to do this thing and this thing and have it done, and let them worry about. And that's not the case. But I'm just curious why we assume that the thing that's going to definitely take 5 to 6 hours is for a salaried employee, and the thing that could take anywhere from 2 hours to 2 days is for. Is it because it's cheaper? Right, it's. But what if it takes me? But it takes me 2 days, and my time is supposed to be more valuable.
Mm-hmm. So I would say a couple things. One is the value added side. So there's more value added in getting the marketing thing going. Number two is ultimately everyone. I don't really want to be involved in doing much for my business. I want to have people who are doing all of those things, and I'm just kind of fielding ideas, managing them, giving them strategic direction, managing those people who are doing both of those.
Yes.
But at the stage where we are now, where we don't have a whole lot of money and we can't hire everyone to do everything, we have to do some things ourselves. The third thing that comes to mind is the alignment with the business values. So it doesn't matter the passion you take to building cabinets. I don't think matters a whole lot. It's like if you hate building cabinets, or if you're super passionate about building cabinets and it's your favorite thing ever, it's not like a huge difference between the two. But
no,
if you are,
there definitely is a difference, but there's not a huge one. No,
sure, absolutely, absolutely. But if you are passionate about the business and want to make that succeed, or you're just clocking in and clocking out, I think that difference at the strategic level is much wider. So the you for whom the business is very important, I think are better suited for that role where those things matter more. That's my impression.
I see what you're saying. I definitely think that there are a fair amount of exceptions. For example, I could be egotistical or not egotistical. I could bring too much ego into it and never make a decision. I could bring too much ego into it and have it. I could make a bad decision because I'm more passionate about what I'm doing. Whereas a person that loves it for the game, they just love marketing, they love storytelling. They don't really care what they're talking about. Could come in and be more efficient than me and be better at it than me. And so I don't necessarily think that I would be better at that just by default, just because I happen to own the business. It's just interesting to think about. We should. I'm going to keep thinking about that. But yeah, I hear what you were saying, and that's the default. That's what we always think.
Yeah.
But there's definitely situations where I don't think that necessarily needs to be the case. What I'm saying is I want somebody to hire somebody for marketing and sales, and I just want to be in the back, and because I do love building cabinets and whatever. But no, I need to do everything. But it's interesting. Okay, we've already spent way too long on this. Thank you for engaging. That is helpful. What's going on with you? Did you think of it yet?
I did. I actually thought of it, and then I thought about another one, and I almost did an end around or a Hail Mary or almost switched, and decided actually no, I'm not going to do it because I haven't thought through the second one enough. So
maybe write it down real quick. Okay.
No, it's a big thing that I'm constantly thinking about. So I won't forget. This is something that I think we've talked about on a couple of occasions. But even if it's been an issue that we've talked about, I'm okay talking about it again because it's very important for me. It's very difficult for me.
Yeah,
that is, and I'm also. The personal conversations you and I have and the conversations we have on the podcast blurred together a little bit for me. So I don't remember.
It's okay.
We have talked about this. I don't remember where or which context or to what depth. Anyway, so one of the biggest problems or the biggest pain points I have for myself emotionally is that clients, and you briefly mentioned this, but clients don't tell you, like when they say something you shouldn't actually believe them entirely. Not to say they're lying to you, they could be, more that they're not really thinking through everything with the intention of giving you the very best, most accurate picture of what's in their head.
Yes.
So I have many cases, especially in Saudi, where people hate to say no or turn anybody down. They would much rather avoid things. It's a very cultural thing. I will call somebody and they're like, I'm in a meeting right now. Can you call me back in half an hour? Or I have a conversation with somebody and they're like, yes, this is really interesting. Could you give me a call on Monday and we'll set up a time next week? And then I call them back in half an hour on Monday and nothing happens. They don't answer the phone. So I wait maybe half an hour, call them back again, still no answer. Send them a WhatsApp message maybe the next day, no answer. And then at that point, I start to lose my mind just a little bit because I don't know what's happening. They asked me to do this. I'm doing what they asked me to do. And still, it's not working. And now I feel like a jilted lover, and I am trying to get in touch with them, trying to chase them down, and it is not working. So that is one of the biggest things that will send me into a spiral. I think that is the biggest thing that will send me into a spiral because I feel rejected. I feel misled. I feel useless. I feel unsuccessful. Like all of my, put the lineup of all of the, yep, pretty much, exactly. And that happens. And I just feel angry because the person could have just said I'm not interested right now. Or, maybe in a month, could you call me back in a while, Q2 something, and we'll see then. And I have a couple clients who do that. And even though we haven't worked together, it's I have no problem whatsoever. It's great. They've never given me a dime. It's only ever been so far a waste of time talking with them. But I'm good. No worries, because they've always been honest with me. So I'm also just frustrated because it seems like all of these negative emotions I'm experiencing could have been avoided so easily by just a little bit of common decency on their side. At least that's how it feels.
We hear you. We in the audience hear you. I'm curious, we're wondering collectively, what is the mistake here though?
The mistake is that follow-up. It's letting it get in. Well, I guess there are two mistakes. One mistake is the double texting and all the things that you're not supposed to do, like on the dating scene. I think it's very similar. There are lots of parallels. So something like double texting, or when I look at my phone, it's like, okay, this contact. All right, there are 4 outgoing calls, unanswered outgoing calls. That's the last thing that I had with this. Over the last month. That's one, and number 2 is letting it get to me. And probably it's a combination. Like if I didn't do the 4 outgoing calls, it wouldn't get to me as much. Because I will, like a week and a half ago, I think it was, I started making more calls, and it knocked me for a loop, man. Like a day or two, I was in bad shape. Like
sucks.
I want to give up on all of this, because I had like 6 of them in a row, and it was just like, okay, well, everyone hates me, and I will die alone. Got it. Penniless, alone and penniless.
Yes.
So the solution, what I want to try to do, and I know about this, I want to combine 2 things. One thing I want to combine is predictability. I forget. This is a Chris Voss thing. I just saw a video of him where he was saying, tell people, expect me, I will call you on Tuesday, instead of calling somebody when you need something from them, or you have something from them. So they don't, like, every phone call isn't like an emotional, like there's something going on. It's like, hey, I'm going to call you on Tuesday, and we'll have a conversation then. And it could just be like, hey, I said I was going to call you on Tuesday. How you doing? I actually don't have news for you yet. Maybe you don't have news for me yet either. So no worries, but I'm going to reach out to you on Sunday next week, so you can expect me then.
So it's not always an ask? Is that the idea?
Yeah, well, it's predictable, so people know to expect it. They know that you're going to call them on Tuesday, because that's what you said you're going to do. And so they don't have to remember it themselves. They don't have to think about calling you. It's just a little bit more predictable.
Interesting.
So I want to try that, number 1. And number 2 is, after perhaps the second attempt, or it may even be, what I'll do is after the first attempt, then I'll like send a WhatsApp message or something saying, hey, didn't get in touch with you, you're probably busy, I'm going to try again Sunday, or something like that. And so they know, or I'm going to try again Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday afternoon, I try again. Sunday's a work day here. That's why I say Sunday, the first working day of the week. And so I try again Sunday, and if they don't answer then I put them into a cycle of just regularly getting in touch, like every 2 weeks or something, with value and a reminder. So not a question, but just, here's something that could be useful to you. If you're ready to talk about English, here I am.
I like that.
And just putting them into that cycle. So I'm going to try to do that.
Real quick, is that to increase the chances of getting the sale, or is it to not trigger those 4 horrible feelings, emotions, and make your life easier, or is it probably both? I'm just curious which was the main impetus or main driver behind that strategy.
Main is the first one, but it's both.
Okay.
The reason for that is, so what I'm really terrified of happening is, if I am not in front of them, they're going to forget about me. The reason I'm terrified about that is 2 weeks from now, like, I know I've had people who contact me all the time for different services, LinkedIn outreach, web development, recruiting, etc. Lots of people contact me with different services. If they don't stay in front of me, like say they contacted me last summer or December, beginning of December, month and a half ago.
Yes.
If a week from now I decide, you know what, okay, it's time to do recruiting, or it's time to do web development or something, I don't remember who contacted me at the beginning of December. So it's like, I'm just going to start my search from scratch. And if they're in the net that I cast, then they're in, but most likely they won't be. So they have no chance at this. So, but if they are contacting me every few days saying, hey, here I am.
Yeah.
You want to do any web development yet?
Yeah.
Then I'm just going to be annoyed and I probably won't work with him anyway. So
Yeah.
the reason I do the first thing, what I do now, the bad way of doing it, is so that they don't forget. So I stay in front of them and I just really want to get them on the phone so I can just say,
Yeah.
you don't need it. I don't have to think about this anymore. Or let's get in touch when. And this is the better, a way of mitigating that.
I like it. Then that makes it even more painful when they still forget you and they don't answer you.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
you're like, I did all this.
So much.
And you're just
Work
in
so
the fetal
hard.
position. Yeah, you wonder.
Well, that's how I spend most of my days.
Yes. It'd be interesting. I was thinking, I met this guy through somebody that was a top salesperson, just like lived and breathed sales, just like it was oozing out of him that he was a good salesperson. And not my type of individual at all. I'm okay saying that in public. Just I really, really good salespeople I don't particularly like. I like a great salesperson that's actually a decent person, but when you can tell that it's all numbers and all strategy and nothing is real, that's when things are, it's like, please don't. Anyway, I digress. But it'd be interesting actually to have them on. Let's have somebody on somebody that they could. It'll be interesting to just asking questions. Is it a thing? Like, do you just keep bugging people until do you stay in front of them and you just spew and keep rolling and just deal with the rejection or whatever? Is that just part of the game and whoever can last the longest, or is that not the way it is and it has to what you're saying? Hit up twice, be specific about the follow up, and then put them into a cycle of communication that keeps them in the loop, keeps them warm, but also it's not hot enough or not aggressive enough that it pushes them away. So I just don't know the answer to that. It'll be interesting. There's a ton of sales information out there. I just haven't read it, but maybe everybody's different. Yeah. But anyway, that's a good one.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Cool. All right. Well, then, we are getting into a habit of these longer podcasts. We need to be terse and to the point in the future.
Yes.
But we do have a sponsor today.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I'm not super excited about this one. I don't know that we hit it out of the park with this guy, but it's
not a good start.
We'll take it.
Bad salesman, but okay.
Absolutely. Well, hey, they're responsible for selling their stuff, not me. So I'm whatever.
Yes.
We just had to put the name out there, and then we get our payday. So this is a company that is not afraid to do two things. First thing they do, they're not afraid to embrace controversy.
Okay.
And I'm talking about Papa John's.
Okay.
So Papa John's, there are a lot of people in today's day and age, that it's really important to either be woke or be anti-woke, to embrace the social issues of the day or to specifically buck them and go against them. What Papa John's has done in the great debate of pineapple on pizza is they have said, if you want your pineapple, you can have it. So they've not been afraid to wade right in and to offer that very controversial pizza topping. And I want to tell you something. Today, I had my friend over and I had my favorite kind of pizza, which is pineapple and onion. It's because it's our mother's favorite kind of pizza, actually. And she tried it. She mocked me roundly. And then she gave it a try. And it won her over. So not only did they wade into that controversy, they got a new convert. And so because of that, I am also unafraid to put them as the sponsor for our podcast. And we're very happy to have Papa John's, and in particular, Papa John's pineapple pizza. So thanks to them for their sponsorship.
Wonderful. You had the weirdest sponsorships.
Hey, I search high and low. If they pay us, that's all I care about.
And you've been a fan for a long time, long before it was popular, before they did their campaign to try to convert people. You've been a pineapple. You like that tang. Give me more tang. That stringy, fibrous, sour tang from the acidic pineapple. Give that to you on your mozzarella and bread. And tomato paste, tomato sauce. That's
particularly with onions. And that is,
yes.
you
Yeah,
know,
I
for a
remember,
very
yeah.
long time, I had no idea why that was my favorite. Or like where I could, because I'm the only, to that point, I had never heard of anybody else who ate specifically pineapple and onion. And every time I say it's my favorite, everyone was like, your favorite is what? Have you lost your mind?
Wait, I forget where it
And
comes
then
from.
it was our mother a few years ago. I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago or something like that. It just came up like we were ordering pizza, and I don't remember if somebody was like, hey, what's your favorite? She's like, oh, pineapple and onion. And I was like, what? Really? That's where it's from.
But
So
not as original as
got
I
that.
thought.
And this is like, you know how you have some things that are like, they come from, their origin is swathed in the darkness of time.
Yes.
And you don't know where it came from. It's just, oh, as far as you know, you popped out eating pineapple and onion pizza. That came like with the milk. It was milk and onion, pineapple and onion flavored. And apparently that's what happened for me. I don't know why it didn't come to you. You probably just hate our mother. That must be it. I guess that's the thing.
I did push her over when I was 2. I pushed her over and ran. I forget why, but yes. Maybe it's because she tried to indoctrinate me. Yeah. Yes. Try to put some of that fibrous acidic pineapple on my pizza. That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
I wanted some I wanted some mushrooms. That's what I like. Some mushrooms. Now I want pizza.
I'm a big fan. Yep.
Okay, we got to end
mushrooms
this because we're going long on top of long. It's like eat extra cheese and cheesy crust, and now we're all hungry and overweight. So here we go.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening to us ramble here a little bit at the end, and hopefully talk about some interesting things early on. And we will see you next week.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Good job. That was a fun one. It was too long, but I like how you said it was too long and then had a long. It cut out in the middle of it. It cut out in the middle. I didn't get right before. So Isra tried it?
No, a different friend, not Isra. I didn't say a name, but a friend.
I didn't hear. All I heard is, and they're a convert. That's all. I didn't hear like the process. Okay.
She ate it and she was like not happy about the fact that she was enjoying it.
Oh wow!
Yes, it was very funny.
I don't like the pineapple. I just remember eating it, then finding it was because of you that it was in the pizza to begin with when we were younger. But I would pull it out because I'd be eating it, all of a sudden I'd be like, "What in the world is that?" And then it would be because sometimes it would be under I didn't like when it was under the cheese would cover it, and then you're like, I didn't know that was. I didn't agree to this.
Consent's important.
I did not consent to it. Yeah. Okay. Let's do the thing and I'm gonna play games with my friend. He wants to play 2 things before he leaves, so I'm gonna play a little bit of something.
Cool. All right. I'm thinking.
Do you include the timestamp for this? For this part?
There's a button for marking the clip, and I press
cool.
that.
Okay.
When I do it, yeah.
Okay.